views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hi everyone, this is Eileen Newman. I'm your host for Mission BX, a program dedicated to looking at and featuring some of the wonderful work being done by nonprofits in the Bronx. This month we're visiting Banana Kelly, and we're going to be talking with Harry Dorenzo, the ED of Banana Kelly, and also Pat Swan from New York Community Trust, who has been a longtime funder of the organization. In addition, we'll be talking to community activists who are living in the houses and also who are working at Banana Kelly. So join us for this very special trip to the Bronx. Hi everyone, I'm here with Pat Swan, who's the Senior Program Officer at New York Community Trust, and Harry Dorenzo, who is the Executive Director of Banana Kelly, and we're going to be talking about their relationship and what Banana Kelly is all about. So thank you both.
You're welcome, thank you.
Harry, let's start with you, because you've been with Banana Kelly for a long time, and Pat, you have too, in a different way. So
since before Pat was born. Yeah.
Since So, Harry, tell us about the history of Banana Kelly and also how it got this name.
All right, so Banana Kelly started about actually this is our 40th anniversary year.
Oh,
so
perfect.
It started at a time when the landlords were abandoned in the Bronx and the city was bankrupt and basically heading towards receivership by the state of New York. In a period of time when the city was actively pursuing a policy of planned shrinkage. Basically, let's just tear down all the buildings, relocate the remaining people to other areas, and then just blacktop it and save it for the future. So Banana Kelly started out as a group of residents from Kelly Street, actually from a particular part of Kelly Street that's shaped like a banana. So it was always called Banana Kelly. That's where the name Banana Kelly came from. And these people refused to move, adopted a slogan, "Don't move, improve." And we actually started taking over buildings that were abandoned by landlords and started to clean them out and get them ready for rehab through, in those days, was called sweat equity, because there was no funding by the city, and if you didn't do it yourself, it didn't get done.
Right.
So we didn't reclaim that part of the neighborhood where we started. It wouldn't be there today. So that's what it started out as a resident initiative where people decided they weren't going to move and they're going to protect their homes and keep their homes, and that's how the organization got started.
And you were here then?
I was I was living on Fox Street at the time, and I was working at a place called Casita Maria, which is a settlement house on Simpson Street. And after hours, we didn't allow any adults into the center. So after hours, I had after hours, it's like a basketball thing. And after we played basketball, we'd sit around, drink beer, and smoke. I won't say what, and talk about the neighborhood. And that's where I met Leon Potts and Robert Forster and Eric Wingate and a bunch of people from Kelly Street. And they were saying that they're struggling to save their homes, but everything's burning down around them. What can we do? And I had a friend of mine who was a street banker at Chemical Bank at the time. We had gone to school together at Manhattan College. And he said, come see this group on Washington Avenue, People's Development Corporation. They took over buildings, they're doing sweat equity, they're getting trained for construction jobs, and at the end they're going to own their own homes. I said, oh, wow. So we went over and visited them, and after that we started just taking over 3 buildings on Kelly Street. One was privately owned. And we just started cleaning them out and pushing to do the same thing over here that they did over there.
So, Pat, when did you come on the scene in New York Community Trust?
Well, New York Community Trust came on the scene before I came on the scene, because I've been there for 16, going on 17 years. But our history as an institution with Banana Kelly goes back to the mid to late 1970s. In fact, the woman who is now our president, the president of New York Community Trust, Lori Slutsky, was actually the first program officer for Banana Kelly. And so our history goes back a real long ways.
there's a real uniqueness to the relationship because you've been together for so long, and oftentimes funders walk away from an organization, and that's always difficult. So it's great that that hasn't happened, and that you're actually still working with Banana Kelly and have worked with Banana Kelly through a lot of different changes.
In fact, my roots are in the community development field, in the kind of work that Harry just described. And so people like Harry and the organizations like Banana Kelly, they're my heroes. They're the things that made me want to do this work, is people making a decision that, you know, we're not going anywhere, and in fact we're going to fight to stay and reclaim our neighborhood and look at the fruits of that work.
I know.
And that's true all over the city. So, you know, a lot of what's happening in the city now in terms of the interest from the private sector, private development world, is thanks to the efforts of organizations like this that reclaim these neighborhoods, or else there wouldn't be anything here to work with.
And Harry, what are you doing now here? Where are we in this beautiful space, and how have things progressed in all those years?
Well, we're actually doing things that are very similar to what we did back then. I mean, the organization was built on the backs of the people who lived here. You know, and there was a period of time when Banana Kelly went a different direction, got into a lot of trouble, but it became a straight service organization and got a lot of resources thrown at it, didn't manage those resources well, and then got into trouble and almost went out of business. This is back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So since that time, we have been, first of all, we had to fix our buildings because the buildings were in terrible shape. Some buildings were taken away from us. We've since gotten those back. And for the last 10 years, we've been in a position where we've been expanding. So when the Attorney General forced the change in leadership, and I came back, and Freddie Ferrer came in as the chairperson, and Victor Alisea came in as a board member, and Aaliyah Horsford-Sidbury, who was like about 4 years old when we started, and she was the grandniece of Eric Wingate and granddaughter of Gloria Wingate, two of our original homesteaders. So isn't it funny, there's a continuity there, right? So when we took over, it took us about 10 years to basically just straighten the place out. But since that time, we had about 560 units of housing. Right now we have about 50 buildings and about 1,350 units of housing. We have an after-school program, we have an ESL program, we have a food pantry, we have a summer camp, we have some social service programs, mostly work with people that are homeless, and also with developmental disabilities, with two separate programs. And organizationally, we're trying to make up for the mistakes that were made in the 90s and early 2000s by really creating this into a community organization. Right. A community organization that has a strong board, a strong staff, and a constituency. So we converted from a straight service organization to a mutual housing association about 3 or 4 years ago. So right now, the way our bylaws are structured, our membership base is our resident leadership base. Anyone that's a resident of any one of our 50 buildings can be part of the resident council. And the resident council is where a plurality of our board members come from. We're also in the process, thanks to funding from New York Community Trust, of creating a community land trust. The city wouldn't let us do it in a conventional way. So because we're part of the citywide collaborative called Joint Ownership Entity of New York City, we created a separate membership for CLTs, for Community Land Trust, and we're going to be basically, as we work with Joe, the land will be retained by the HDFCs, which are housing companies. That will be controlled by the Banana Kelly Community Land Trust, which will be controlled by the leaders and residents of our neighborhood.
Great.
So we're trying to turn, basically, we believe an institution is the vehicle by which a community's agenda is accomplished. And so to become, I think, a real community institution, we believe all these changes are necessary, working on them. And one of the things I appreciate about New York Community Trust is that they have been consistent for the 40 years that I've worked with them. I mean, their mission has focused on the kind of real deep and substantive community development work that we think is necessary, not just building a building or creating a mural, but actually having real participation and real involvement by the stakeholders. That's
very rare. And Pat, I know that there's been a lot of conversation about place-based funding. So is this something that you feel that the New York Community Trust is committed to, and that's why we're sitting here and you're still funding this organization?
Yeah, we're a community foundation. So community is like built into our DNA. And it's funny because I've been in the foundation world now for a few years, and things kind of wax and wane. You know, things are a little bit trendy, and there's some downsides to the foundation world. There's some upsides to it, but one of the downsides is things tend to be in favor and then fall out of favor. Right. The place-based approach to anti-poverty work and community building is not exactly in favor right now. And I think there are two trends that are pushing against it. One is that with the internet, right, community means a whole different thing now, right? And then the other is that a lot of foundations look for projects that have what we call scale, which generally means big numbers. We want to fund a workforce organization that's going to train 250 people a year to get jobs. Right. And so the place-based approach doesn't always produce those big numbers, but it produces a depth of empowerment that that we value and we think is important. And as I said, you can look around you and see the fruits of that kind of approach.
Yes, absolutely, and we're going to be doing that. So we're going to talk to some of those people.
Great.
Who are
you
here.
should.
So thank you.
Thank you
for this moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew.
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door. Sorry about that. You just did the same. Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
So I'm here with people who live in Banana Kelly houses and work in Banana Kelly houses and are just part of this community. So we're going to start. Hope, let's start with you and just have everybody say their name and just briefly what you do and what your connection is to Banana Kelly.
My name is Hope Burgess. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Banana Kelly.
Great.
Hi, I'm Gregory Jost. I'm the Director of Organizing here at Banana Kelly.
Hi, my name is Wanda Swinney. I'm a resident leader and board member of Banana Kelly.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jose Rodriguez. I live in the Banana Kelly building, and I'm also I'm a member in the Residents Council.
Great. So I guess my biggest question would be, we talked about community and how Banana Kelly has done so much to maintain community and to build community. So what's your reaction to that in terms of your own relationships to the organizations and how you see it as part of this community? So anybody can jump in with that.
Well,
go ahead. Yeah.
I want to talk about the awesomeness of Banana Kelly. Okay, collectively they bring people together through infrastructure, community rooms, space, because a lot of times we have to have somewhere to bring people together to hear the voices of others.
Right. And Jose, what about you? You said that you had some, we also want to feature Jose's shirt, his good Banana Kelly shirt. Yes. We want to make sure that our audience sees that.
Yeah, so Banana Kelly, for many years when nobody wanted to visit or live in the Bronx, Banana Kelly has been working hard to try to keep the remaining residents in the community, and most importantly, give them say in how the community is going to be restructured, whether it be a school, a park, or housing. And Banana Kelly allows the community to have a voice, and through many different avenues. So every year we go to the RGB, the Rent Guideline Board. We talk. We try to keep rents down in communities. You know, people are struggling. A lot of people are living in rent-subsidized apartments. They're living on fixed incomes, and you know, so it's important that we have a voice for the community, so that way more and more people do not get displaced.
Yeah, that's great. And Hope, how did you get involved with Banana Kelly?
I came to Banana Kelly about 14 years ago as an intern, and I never left.
I love those stories.
Yes. I was a building resident up until maybe about 6 months ago. So very involved in the community. My children went to school here. Okay. And so all of the things that affected the people I worked with, they also affected me. That's pretty much how I became involved.
And Greg, how about you?
So I'm pretty new here. I just started in January, but I've known Harry for a long time, and I know the work of Banana Kelly, and always been really inspired by it, because there's such a working for a number of different nonprofits and community organizations in the Bronx for many years, thinking about exactly that, like the concept of community, like how do we intentionally keep folks who are directly impacted, who live in the buildings, who are struggling with the things going on, at the center, who are with decision-making power, that we're, as the staff, accountable to our residents in the end of the day. And Banana Kelly is set up and designed that way as a mutual housing association, that we're actually institute that. And I think it's really important in neighborhoods that have been historically redlined, disinvested in, right? We're doing that work, that happened because of, you know, the devaluing of people of color and communities of color. And I think to be able to combat that, it's really important that we center that history, and we understand that, look, people and place together have to really work in a way that, like, we build up our own capacity to solve our own problems, and that the power lies within the people here.
So I have a question. What are resident leaders?
We have members that go out and hand out flyers, and every month we hold a monthly community meeting to invite community members in, and we inform the community members what's happening with the rezoning, you know, and things of that nature, basically.
And can I ask what cluster sites are?
Cluster site is a building, a privately owned building that the landlord rents apartments out that supposedly should be rent stabilized apartments, and rents them to the city for like 3 times the amount of rent. And at the same time, so what occurred, the campaign to close these cluster sites occurred when the 2 little girls died in the cluster site in the Bronx, and the steam exploded in the room, and the 2 little girls died. And so the mayor was holding a meeting at a school, and we did a candlelight vigil, and that was about a year ago. And fast forward through continually campaigning, putting pressure, the mayor just announced that he's going to be closing 30 cluster sites down. And we're not going to stop with the 30. Of course, we want all of them closed.
Right. So I just have one last question for all of you. I wish we had more time, but this is a beauty. I mean, we're sitting here in this great garden with the birds singing. How have any of you been involved with this and the creation of this? And do you come and sit and have lunch here?
We don't have lunch here, but the children in the after school in the summer camp, they do use the space. They come back here and they have picnics, and they also use the computers that are in the community room here.
Okay.
And the idea behind it too, and Wanda, you should speak to this about your building as well, is that we organize the tenants in our buildings, and so that the tenants here have a say over, like, well, what do we want this space to do?
Okay.
And what are the problems in our neighborhood that we can use this as a hub to bring people together and think about, well, what's going on here? How can we solve that problem? We got to bring people together first. And, you know, we could do the gardening and we can do barbecues and we can do some classes and computer things in that space.
Workshops.
But I think you should talk about what's going on by your garden.
Where's your building, Wanda?
It's 331 East 146 between 3rd and College.
Oh, okay.
In the Bronx.
Yeah.
The zip code is 10451. And what we do is we do a lot of outreach. We have farmers markets where we give out the food, the produce to the tenants for free. We have workshops where we have informational tables. We have grillings. We bring the community together, beautifying the community. And right now, as we're speaking, we're having a project that's coming out right now to do more transformation to the garden. It's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful for the support of Banana Kelly, okay? They do a lot of things to help a lot of us people in the community, and it means a lot, you know?
And also, like, I want to talk about community land trusts as well. So, Banana Kelly has been, with the help of Melissa Mark Viverito, that was she just
city council,
the city council member, the speaker, right? She, with the help of her, were able to start the El Barrio Community Land Trust, and so that's very important because those buildings, they were being managed very poorly, and went into the buildings, organized the tenants, made a community land trust, and just you know, pushed for CLT, the community land trust, and eventually that was a victory. And so the idea of Banana Kelly is to try to have the community have a say in where they live.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there should be more Banana Kellys, but there's not. But you know, the work that's being done is invaluable. You know.
I just want to say one more thing, if it's okay. Where I am, even though the garden is beautified and all those things, we also have a situation in the neighborhood, in the community, where we have a lot of addiction going on, needles being found on the grounds, you know, unsafety for the kids, the children, you know, and things like that. And you know, I like to see a change in that, something different to happen, because it takes a community to raise a child, you know? So those are some of the things that are my concerns with, you know, the community.
Yeah, but the fact that the community is a community can hopefully lead to
that we can just think about collectively. We know we don't want it to be, you know, like the really strong police response like we've had in the past.
But
like,
it's
folks know that.
Out.
But we really have to think, and we can be inspired by the work that other folks have done around addiction and usage, and but having the garden be that hub, for, you know, it's literally right across the street. They put in one of those boxes for a needle exchange box, which is, you know, on the one hand it's good, but it's not enough, right? That we have to do a lot more.
You know, and you know, they have a lot of organizations that kind of like provide services. However, you know, if people don't have a place to stay, it's really hard to go to school every day. It's really hard to maintain a job if you're homeless. And you know, so by having say in the community is very important. Like, okay, you have soup kitchens, right? So organizations just drop soup kitchens basically anywhere they want to. Like Banana Kelly has a soup kitchen in one of the buildings, which is really important because, I mean, the servicing, we know the need. We live in the community. We know the need where the soup kitchen is best going to service the community, and you know,
you have that voice,
right? We and we have the insight. We live here, you know. I mean, if you don't ask the if you don't ask the community, you know, like for many years it's been they haven't been investing. Right. Now all of a sudden, the Bronx is the place to be, and they want to do all these investment. Well, we're here to say that. Well, we wanna have a say in it. You know, if whatever you're going to build, we need to be part of the bargaining, the decision making as well.
Thank you. That's the perfect piece for us to end this little segment on, because we're running out of time. But thank you all. Thank you all for what you do, and it's really inspirational to meet all of you and talk to you. So thanks a lot.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Pat and Harry, thank you so much for doing this. I know it took time out of your ridiculously busy schedules, but we really appreciate it, and this has been great. So I'm just going to ask about what would you say, Harry, to sum up your feelings about Banana Kelly and its importance in the community?
So I would say that, first of all, thank you for coming out, and secondly, I'd say that, you know, we're a community organization. At the end of the day, community is about people. And as you saw from the people who you also interviewed, that are our members, our resident leaders, that we're not here to provide services. We are here to basically provide a platform for people to self-determine their own destinies and their own futures. And we are a vehicle for that to happen, and we're very happy to be able to show that through action, with people actually coming out and talking on their own behalf. So thank you. And we appreciate New York Community Trust for all the faith they put in that approach with our group and other groups as well around the city.
I know that too. And Pat, so that was a very beautiful testament, I think, and a statement about what you really do here, and we felt that. So good.
I just wanted to say that I'm so proud to work in an institution that takes the long view and that supports organizations like Banana Kelly and the amazing results that they have.
Yeah. Great. Thank you both again. Thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry that's all we have time for this month, but please make sure you join us for next month's journey into the world of another nonprofit here in the Bronx. If you are interested in other episodes you might have missed, if you go to BronxNet.tv and look for Mission BX, you'll find us there. And I look forward to seeing you next month.